I just want to start off by saying, hey, 2000, this was the worst decade I can think of in my life. But just to go ahead and get that out of the way, and I just wanted to say that there will never be a revolution in this country as long as Bubba is well fed. His truck is in the driveway and his big screen TV is working, the cable is hooked up, and he's got plenty of chicken and hamburgers. Nothing against Bubba, but when he does have a revolution, as we have seen in this last year of 2010, he will um, invariably go to the right. He wants to blame it on everyone lower than him on the totem pole because, of course, it's easier to pick on the guy below you than it is to um, take on the giant. I myself prefer fights with giants. They're more interesting, of course, and I get much more satisfaction out of them when I survive, if not win. But that said, unless we begin to fight for runoff election laws in this country at every level, um, until we work for a time when we have representational democracy, um, we are forever caught in an endless grind of imperialism that allows the wealthy to flip the coin back and forth every time they need a tinkering to keep Bubba happy, to keep the to keep the to keep the Bentley on the road, so to speak. Corporations just had their best quarter ever, and meanwhile, the rest of the population is absolutely at their wits' end. Interestingly enough, at their wits' end at a situation that um, still the rest of the world would be in envy to be most Americans who just lost their jobs. Um, and that is because of obvious reasons. We are in denial and we refuse to want to acknowledge that we are a vampire living off of the lifeblood of the world. We are 2% of the world's population, and we are consuming 26 to 40% of the world's natural resources. And until recently, China was 26% of the world's population, and they were consuming 2 to 5% of the world's natural resources. And eventually, China is going to want elbow room. They're going to want to ascend to their rightful place in this historical time frame. They are going to want to flex the reality of their numbers, flex the reality of their position in the world. They are loaning us money to wage what are the equivalent of temper tantrums around the world. Um, every time someone lashes out at us for the things that we have done to to create the widespread anger that the rest of the world is feeling. So the bottom line comes down to this: people have issues. For instance, let's take the immigration issue. You can sit and piss down the hill on Mexicans, Guatemalans, and others who are of indigenous heritage who have come to this country, really out of the fact that we have made the places that they live a living hell over the years. Good example was when El Salvador lowered their minimum wage from 60 something cents per hour to 30 cents per hour. And then we are surprised when there is a flood of El Salvadorans coming to El Norte. Now, the bottom line is this: these people, the I want to take my country back people, they are, in effect, absolutely nuts with racism because they can't stand the fact that slowly but surely, just by sheer population fluctuations, this is the first year that there were more minority babies born than there were white babies. So they are freaking out. And they know that by the year 2050, this country is going to look a lot more like it did when Columbus got here. And the bottom line comes down to they never take aim at the government and its refusal and its inability to hold the wealthy accountable for going to third world countries and hiring goons to police their sugar fields, their sweatshop factories, etc. They're never willing to hold the wealthy accountable for bringing low income workers here. We are never willing to talk about getting rid of the right to work laws in states where the unions have been completely destroyed. And then we wonder why we're in the situation we are. And for the first time in history, we have a bunch of people who are pretty much a bunch of poor but overweight people, unhealthy and freaked out, overly religious. Well, they think they are, but they have no discipline, marching down the street demanding a return to the aristocracy. And the question becomes, how do you cure such insanity? Now, I want to go into this more. This is my first attempt at making a YouTube broadcast. My name is Thomas Pierce. I am a longtime community organizer and activist who is interested in finding a formula to better our situation. Thank you very much.